to Seasons 2's Wear Many Hats, which is totally dedicated to the FM industry. Today we have a special guest, come quite a long way today. His name is Ollie Plastow. And he also does his own podcast. I'll let him talk about that in a bit. And also a director of Consensus Workspace as well. So wearing many hats. How are you today, Ollie?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm having a good start to the week. My cousin's it was my cousin's wedding on Saturday, so it's been a bit of a hectic weekend. But yeah, I managed to get myself down here today.
And you're nice and fresh, so that's good.
You've got to be fresh, aren't you? It's Monday morning. Well, it's Monday afternoon now, but yeah, you're always fresh on a Monday. You've got to be, haven't you?
Absolutely. And where did you come from today?
Well, like I said before, I live in Leeds, but it's not the place that I would call home, but it's my new home, that's for sure. So, I've travelled from Leeds, well, just outside a place called Appley Bridge. So it's taken about 3 hours to get here, but I'm no stranger to travelling. So
thank you so much for coming this way
that's
for us today. And hopefully you've tied in some other meetings while you're down.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Obviously, I know you've got to catch a train in a little while, so we'll get started. So I'm going to ask you some questions about how you've got to where you are today. So let's rewind a bit. For you, you mentioned a little bit earlier, sort of where you started. So where did it all start for you?
Well, in the fit out, it's all I've ever done since the age of 16. So for me, it started. My family have done fit out for forever and a day, management fit out. So that's not, well, we do have lads who, well, we did at the old company, guys who were on the tools, but we are predominantly a management design and build fit out company. So it started when I was 16. So school was never for me. Let's put it that way. I was a naughty child. It wasn't actually that I'm naughty. It's that, well, I was, but at the same, I just didn't. The problem is it's struggling to listen, and school wasn't engaging for me. So if you're not engaging in something, it's like anything you do in life. You switch off and you start to mess around. People see it, but you'll see it when you have a meeting with someone that if you're not engaging with them or they're not engaged with you, they'll just start messing on the phone. Yeah. Obviously, you can't go on your phone in school, so what do? You start talking to other people. Yeah. It's quite wholesome, that, isn't it, really, when you think about it, just talking to other people. But yeah, so I came straight out of school, dabbled in college for a bit and decided that wasn't for me. So anyway, Preferred Spaces was the old company. So they ran that for 20 years, very successfully, in fact. For a long period of time, they were one of the front runners in Manchester for design and build, right, for fit out. So my uncle and my granddad actually, well, they were posting numbers of like 15 million nearly 20 years ago. Wow. So yeah, so it was a good sized business. Anyway, financial situation happened in 2008. The business, like many other businesses at that time, obviously I was still in school at that point, but I still remember the toll it had on the family. And it went from a really flourishing business, like a lot of others did, to a business that wasn't struggling, but had lost, at least 50% of the staff had to go overnight. It was, recession, the scary things aren't the end of the day. Touch wood that we haven't gone through a proper one for a long time. But yeah, cut a long story short, I started there. My dad was a PM there, not one of the directors, but he was a PM. And then my uncle ran the business. My granddad at this point had retired. And it was a baptism of fire. I was never given, a lot of people who probably listening or have seen my podcast and seen it before, or have seen me like go through my LinkedIn journey, probably have a preconception of that. It was all just handed to me and I'm lucky, but it wasn't like that at all. I was very much put on an apprentice wage of £3.20 an hour. I worked. I earned very little money when I first started out working, and they made me, as like this, wear many hats. So I was responsible for admin, purchase orders, procurement, even small works management. But at the same time, the business owned the building we were in. So I was always first in, 7 o'clock, open the building for everyone. Then I had to do the post for everyone in the building, almost like a serviced office, like host as well.
You were the one running things.
Oh, I was the complete runner, and it was a very different. Yeah, I'm 29 now, but when 13 years ago, even now, it was a very different world to how I've seen progress. The working world is now. It was very much sit down, shut up until I talk to you, just watch and learn. And that's how the guys, I was very much in, like the sausage machine, as you would call it, with the QSs, the estimators and the PMs. And it was very much just sit, watch and learn. Yeah. So I stayed there for 5 years. And then after that, me and my dad, the business was kind of going in a direction we didn't want to be part of. It was very much going down like a student route, almost like maintenance route for student providers. And we didn't really want to do that. And my uncle, we burned a couple of bridges as we departed, but it was the best thing to do. Sometimes you have to make difficult decisions in life. And
It's business.
it's business. It wasn't personal. It was taken slightly personal, but that's family for you. Never get in business with family. But
they say.
well, if anything, I'm probably the example of that. Why you should get in business with your family. So cut a long story short, did that for 5-6 years, and then started Consensus Workspace, which in the long touch wood again, and in the short period of time of 7 years, has been rather successful. So we're now doing I now run Consensus Workspace with my dad, wonderful. It's a good journey. It's been a good journey.
It's worth with your family.
And I've got my cousin who works for us as well. My sister works for us. So it started. Do you know what? And the new strapline when we pitch to people it's not family run anymore. It's family started or family owned, and it's
developing.
We've gone from just me and my dad to nearly 15 staff in 7 years. So
fantastic.
And it's not we're not like a recruitment agency or a call center where staff come and go, and it's very scalable very quickly. It's you're adding people who have real value. So it's it's tough, but we're getting there and we keep growing. So
you're keeping the management side quite low and growing out.
It's I've got a new thing. It's like flexible fit out where you basically what we've developed and work well is rather than take on loads of people. You see it all the time in construction and probably FM as well, where you see people win big contracts overnight. So then they go, we need to hire loads of people. With your background as well, what you were saying before, people suddenly think that they have to hire loads of people for the demand. But what we do is we go, right, well, we've seen that happen so many times where people have hired for the demand, and then next year you don't have the demand, so you end up either letting people go or your overhead's so high that you go out of business. So what we do is we use a very good trusted network of subcontractors.
Brilliant.
That we call upon when we need them. We're adding staff, full-time staff, as and when we need them, when we actually know that the work's there to grow, and that they'll be almost, clients will be like, not feeder clients, but the longevity clients, not one-off clients. So that's where we're kind of having a lot of success, where we managed to keep the overhead low, but keeping up with the demand, because we have subcontractors that work with us, not full time, but 3 or 4 days a week.
But they'll have other work to go.
Yeah, they have other work. Yeah, exactly. And they do other work.
Completely reliant.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just a completely new way of working as well. And I think it's just keeping up with the times.
Trusting others to
exactly.
do in your business.
Yeah.
As long as you're transparent, I think, with your clients, then
literally on all our pitch documents and our brochure, it says in partnership with these guys. And when they ask who are they, we just explain it. And would you rather pay through the nose for someone to have a load of in-house staff, or get the same service but pay a little bit less because we use subcontractors? So that's kind of not a brief, but I feel like I've explained it quite well there.
Yes, did indeed. I mean, that's fantastic. So you're now still, and you're a director, aren't you, of Consensus?
Yeah. Well, co-founder and director. Yeah, my dad's the MD. So.
You're not on the tools. This is what this is.
No. No, and do you know what? Embarrassingly so, I am terrible at DIY. Even so that my missus actually does all the DIY in house. But I say that, but my dad was a French polisher by trade, so he's a tradesman by background. My cousin, who's now a PM for us, he was our site manager, joiner / maintenance man. So we actually started out doing maintenance for co-working spaces, Ariga, Peel, people like that who have big co-working spaces in Manchester. And that's kind of like how I started taking along. But we hired my 2 cousins, actually. Lockie, who's still with us, he's the PM. And then Isaac, who's actually one of our site managers. So they're both still with us, actually. And so they're both tradesmen. So it's not that my family doesn't have any tradesmen. I wasn't gifted, I guess.
We need something in everything. So you're the business side of things. Which
I'm just the yapper, aren't I? They say but I did. So when I first started Consensus, again, I was very much still involved in the management process. So up until about 12 months ago, I still did project management, and that was all around the country. So I think in in my time, I don't know I wouldn't like to put a figure on how much work I've actually delivered, but it's a lot. And I'd price, deliver it, go to every site. So I do a lot of work for a company called Knights. And that was a demanding time when I was project managing their work, because I'd been, at one point I had 10 jobs on. One was in Exeter, one was in Teesside, Lincoln, all running at the same time. And that's like a multi. That's
So you do know.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do, but I can tell you how to do things, but doing them with an actual drill, it's almost like I just go limp in my hands. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. But yeah, I was very much into the process, and I can price and develop jobs. Yeah, but now I go out and I sell, and I try and bring the business in, and also just develop like growth plans for the company as well. And that was one of the reasons with the podcast as well, was using it as a growth tool to, speak to a wider audience, I guess. Yeah.
Brilliant. I really like that. I like what you're doing there. I was gonna ask you about sort of, did you know you were going to sort of fall into this? Did you think you would? I mean, obviously you said you were quite disruptive at school. I was as well, but I was told you were going down sales route, and that's that, by my dad.
Yeah.
Was this your chosen path?
No, I wasn't. Do you know what? Funnily enough, I actually wanted to be a football agent when I was younger, which it obviously is like a pipe dream. That's like up there with being an astronaut, because unless you know the footballers, it doesn't really happen. But and then the other one was I actually wanted to be a football journalist or a journalist. Which is kind of very different, because I don't have journalism in my blood at all, but that's kind of what I wanted to do. But when you actually break it down and think about it, I guess that's kind of talking to people, writing about people, and having a little bit of media nous, I guess. But I wasn't ever forced down this route. I actually tried my hand at like call centres, hated it. Yeah. When you're 16, your prospects don't look that great. When you've kind of decided to leave college on your own accord and all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't look great. So I tried, and I didn't want to do this, but in the end, I was kind of like, do you know what? Maybe I should give it a go. Yeah. And I was the first one actually out the whole family, apart from the older siblings, my dad and my uncle, who actually came into the business. For 20 years, no one had ever come into the business. So,
so you were the first one in.
Yeah, I was.
And so you knew exactly where you were heading, and you've done really well. And obviously you've got your podcast as well. As we just give that a quick shout out now as well. Yeah, that's technically still media based, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is. So like it's called The Corporate, The Character, and then so like I'm meant to be, George, who's our commercial director, is corporate. He's come from like a landlord background, working for like Bruntwood and people like that. So obviously that's like the corporate side of things, and he's very like, we brought George in to make us a little bit more professional. He's quite proper. So, and then the character. So I'm riddled, as you can probably tell, like riddled with ADHD, and I'm a bit of a live wire. So I'm meant to be the character, which is quite fitting actually. I wouldn't take it as a bad thing. And then we actually, the whole thing is, just to explain the name, is like we left the and off, because one of the questions that we ask on the podcast is, what do people want themselves to be referred of? Like, so we've had like Jonathan on, who's one of my friends, who's got another construction company. He said he got to be the doer, and then we've had a couple of other people on as well. I can't really remember what they said, but yeah, it was for them to identify themselves as something that they want people to show that they are. Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Yeah. I'd have to think about that. I don't even know what
clever branding. We did get a branding agency in to do that, so it's clever branding.
I wondered where you were going with that bit, where there was like a gap. I was like, I wonder what that means. But yeah, now you've explained it. Absolutely spot on. I love that. I've got ADHD as well, recently diagnosed. So
yeah. He explained. Then do you know what? So is mine. Same as you. So is mine. So I actually went out my way to do it. I went to see a therapist and all this kind of thing. And he was like, you need to go get yourself basically tested. Yeah. Yeah, and I believe I was off the scales, but I said no to any kind of like medication, because I read up about it and the side effects, but I'm not a doctor. But yeah, it's not.
No, it's not for everybody.
It's not for everyone, and I feel like it gives me a lot of benefits as well.
It does indeed. I feel that I'm not on any medication either, and I feel, but I am able to do things like this, which is, and I can stay really sort of focused on what I'm doing. Yeah. But the moment you put me in a space where I've got 3 or 4 things to do, I'll start something and then I'm onto something
procrastinating. Else. But there's loads of people out there I think it's like a new thing. It's not a fad or anything. It's just that previously, even when I was in school, you were just labelled naughty, you actually weren't. And there's loads of people who are, especially salespeople as well, Probably I'm riddled with ADHD, but it's a huge benefit to them, isn't it? So
It is. I don't see as there's anything wrong.
no, absolutely not.
ADHD.
No way.
Maybe back in the day, my brother's got it as well. I believe. I'm diagnosing here. I don't know. So now this will be interesting. What's a day like for you? What do you do in a day?
The beauty of my day is that every day is different, and being the master of your own destiny, I'm not stuck to a schedule. I make my own schedules. I'm not stuck to a schedule of working for someone. I just put it on record. I probably am unemployable. So, which is great for me. I mean that in a light-hearted way, that I'm unemployable. But yeah, every day is different. So it could be, so I still travel from Leeds to Manchester every day.
Wow.
Near enough.
It's an hour or something?
It depends. You get stuck in traffic. It's usually about a 3-hour round trip during the day. So an hour and a half there, hour and a half back, or an hour there, 2 hours back. So you never know. It's a gamble. But I love it because I love doing what I do. So it'd start off by travelling, or I'd come to London, or I can go to Birmingham. It depends, really. It depends if I've set up many meetings or not. But I'm still, so basically the processes are that would obviously not boring anyone, but travel to Manchester, meetings pretty much most of the day. And then I still get involved in the commercial side of the business, where even though I've brought a client in, I'll still manage the process of putting it into design. And then whilst we're pricing it, I still let the client know what's happening. So I still have to be involved in the Teams calls that we have with people, or going to site visits and things like that.
Yeah.
So again, it involves a lot, for me, it's a lot of travelling, there's a lot of meetings. And also, obviously, being a director, and my dad's the MD, but he's very much still a project manager, because that's his passion. He loves it. So I'm kind of focusing, like I said before, on the growth and the management of the people that we've got working for us. So one of my strengths is making sure that everyone's happy. So making sure that everyone still enjoys working at the company. And, if no one else is, if everyone's, it's like anything in construction, everyone's head down, just doing
tools.
Yeah, just doing what they need to do on a day-to-day basis, because it's so demanding. It never ever stops. So you have to have someone who's kind of like looking to the future. Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And I feel like I'm pretty good at, and also, one of the things that we like to do, and I'm pretty good at, is like the branding side of the business, which is like the ever-growing side, where companies, whether it's construction, FM, fit out, it's no longer just, you trusted word, like you're good at what you do. You have to like actually brand yourself up like the rest of the world. Yes. So that's another thing that I kind of work on most of the day. Just getting that kind of,
recognition.
It'll just like getting like the brochures done, marketing.
Yeah.
I do like a lot of video content as well for myself. So and personal branding. So I spend a lot of time it's hard work doing it, and it's, you get. Well, I don't know. I get a lot of abuse, but yeah. People like to, when I go walk onto site, like to call me Brad Pitt and all sorts. So yeah, you take the rough with the smooth. So
it doesn't say any type of criticism, or it's all good marketing.
Yeah, so I think there's never any bad marketing, but yeah, I'd love to give you like what a day in the life of me is like, but every day is different. And then one of the hard things, because I love pricing jobs, didn't really like managing jobs. I loved pricing jobs. Is like people like, now we've obviously got people who are pricing for us, and we've got George who sits just below me doing the commercial side. Is like, I think that most of their days trying to kick me out of still trying to price, because we need to have like a linear approach to things. So
right. I was just going to say, what are your challenges? Is that one?
That's everyone. Yeah. Well, my challenge is not to get too involved in everything. Because then you're in danger of micromanaging.
Yes,
and if you've ever worked for a micromanager, they're the worst people in the world, because you can't do anything. It's like you've always got someone sat on your back. But it's not micromanaging, it's just that I have a passion for it.
Of course.
And I just like to make sure that everything's being done. But I'm learning, and I would never say I was a finished article. And I don't think anyone ever is a finished article. No. You've always got learning to do.
I say always remain teachable, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And the challenge, there's a lot of challenges within the business, and especially for me, a lot of them are my own challenges. Mm-hmm. Like I said, is allowing growth to happen. Mm-hmm. We were very much, why we were successful very quickly was we were so reactive, and we were so good at pricing jobs quickly, starting on site quickly. But as you grow, that doesn't happen. But also you make mistakes when you do that. Yeah. So one of the challenges is accepting that we have to go down a different route a more commercial approach and a more linear approach to things where, you don't set yourself unrealistic timescales. You do things properly and you manage the client better than what I would just go, yeah, we can do it. And all that kind of stuff. We'll start on site on Monday when it's Friday afternoon at 4:00. And you can't do that because in the end, you're putting other people, it's not you. Yes, you're putting yourself under pressure, but it's also the rest of the staff that you're putting under pressure.
Of course.
So the challenges for me are navigating a growing business, navigating a very competitive industry. I think all construction and FM is competitive because someone will jump in your shoes straight away. You make one mistake and someone will jump in your shoes. I mean, it's like anything where you're selling a service, whether it's a coffee shop down the road or it's construction, fit out, recruitment, for example. Your competitor's always on the phone watching what you're doing. They're always trying to get in where you are because that's the easiest form of BD. Just look in your competitors' websites and you'll find out where they are. So, it's about making sure your client's fine. And they're kind of the challenges that you face every single day. And then internal challenges within the business is, we've got a couple of young staff. We've got older staff as well. And it's about making sure that the synergy within the business is correct. And people laugh when I say, we've got a company ethos and it's important that we stick to it. But I feel like one of the reasons we attract really good talent. Yeah. So we've never had to use a recruitment agency because people either just email us or approach us because they see what I'm doing on my LinkedIn and we see what the other people in the business are doing because I feel like it's really important to get our name out there. And we've managed to recruit really good staff through that because they want to be part of what we're trying to achieve.
That's brilliant. So your marketing and stuff is really paying off as well.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I mean, I knew who you were because obviously we're connected on LinkedIn. I think we have been for
quite a few years.
Being in a similar industry where, I think we've got something like 450 connections, mutual connections. That's what I love.
See, that's a lot of people, isn't it?
That's a lot. And I'm assuming that's because of the co-working space that I sort of...
Do you know what, mate? Do you know what's bizarre about LinkedIn and this industry is that you never know who you're going to meet. I went to Mexico. This is a weird story, but it's not weird. But it's weird about how I'll explain it. But went to Mexico on holiday back in October, thinking, I haven't taken a break for 6 months. I just want to be as far away as possible in a different time zone, so I can't get hassled. And then I'd interviewed Laura. Her name's Laura. I love her. She's absolutely hilarious. And I'd interviewed her 6 weeks beforehand, and I was in the gift shop in my buying a hat because I was too sunburnt. And I just saw this person and I was pointing at her and it was her. And then another guy who I don't know, but he messaged me on LinkedIn 2 weeks later saying, were you at this hotel at this time? I was there. I saw you. I thought it was you. So literally two people that I've met through LinkedIn.
It is a small...
And I sort of met them in Mexico. There's loads of occasions that I can name where people have come up to me and gone, I've seen your videos or... something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a mad small world.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It seems to know someone that you know, or, it is. It is a small world. So I mean, you've kind of mentioned about sort of where your business is headed.
Yeah.
What about the industry itself? I mean, what sort of excites you for the future, especially for your company and for yourself even? What I mean, we've got AI.
Yeah.
I mean, remote working's not a possibility for you guys, really, is it?
No.
You've got
and we
to be
don't
on site. But...
yeah, and you don't... remote working is just, don't get me wrong, I do 1 day a week from home just because...
Then catch up.
No, it's not even that. It's just that I need a break from travelling.
Right,
and
of course.
A lot of people nowadays do travel. You got to think, a lot of the work now is you have to travel for work. I think gone are the days where you can just spend... It'll be Northwest based or Central London based. You have to travel for work. Majority of the people that work in our company travel. The lads on site travel. They have to, otherwise there's going to be no work. We'll accept, as management contractors, we'll accept jobs all around the country. We work nationwide. So we've just completed a job up in Edinburgh. I did work in Exeter, Southampton, and the guys will travel down there because they have to, because you go where the work is at the end of the day. But yeah, so challenges with the industry, we don't really face AI that much because an AI can't build a wall.
Yeah.
And AI can't, AI can imagine drawings or can imagine a space, look at the space we're sat in now, labs. AI can't draw that. That's someone's brief being put to another person who's then imagined it. And for me, there's just something...
We're not there yet.
I don't ever want it to be there because I think that human connection, human creativity, I think it's amazing that And I'm in awe of like our designers who they take a brief and I'm just stood there like, yeah, I know like we're going to have to move a couple of fan coils or we're going to have to, make modifications to a fire alarm or put a new screen down on the floor. And they're like writing all this down. And then you see like what they've come up with, like the CGIs and the drawings, and you're like, how has that gone into your head? And you've like depicted it like that.
It's the technology there, isn't it?
Yeah, the human brain. And I don't think it's like innovation that there's a lot of innovation that needs to happen within FM and construction, i.e., and I feel like it doesn't start with the people in the office. It starts with the guys on site. So like for me, like health and well-being is a massive thing.
Yeah.
And I touched on it on a couple of my podcasts. So when I was traveling, I had a mental breakdown because I was traveling so much around the country and staying in rooms on my own. So I was doing like 14, 15 hour days. My own fault. Like, again, it goes back from what's a learning curve for me. And a learning curve for me was not taking on so much work and chasing money. And it's not just chasing money, but chasing success and recognition. I think you said before, the recognition side of things, and not saying no to a client. And it nearly put me in a grave, to be honest. And the amount of guys who do that on site or in FM, whether you're a PM, traveling PM, QS, or, you're working on the tools, people are working every single day on their own away and just maybe trying to just like, like anyone, like pay your bills, basically. You get more money for working away. So why wouldn't you work away? That kind of thing. So I feel like innovation needs to happen, not with technology, but to support people within the industry, and especially the guys who are on site. And I do say guys because, the majority is, it's a male-dominated industry, and I think male suicide's ridiculously high.
Yeah.
And then another thing as well that I would love to see, and I've had it for ages, is I would love to see more women in the actual doing side of things. So for me, like some of the best PMs that I've ever met are women, because women are really good at, like, women are naturally very good at organisation. And people might say, oh, you're speaking out of term, but it's true. Women are really organised. And they're very, very good at the technical side of things, and also like the creativity side of things. So like my girlfriend's a PM, and I can say it because my girlfriend's a PM, and a really good one. And she came out of university and said, I don't know what to do. She's an artist, and she's very good at art. She's got an eye for detail, and also she will help me saying this. She has a list for everything. Yeah, she just lists. She lists everything out. So she's organised, and I was like, you should think about getting into PMing. And she's unbelievable. Like, she thinks it's ridiculously easy. So
that was meant to be.
Yeah, and it's just you're telling blokes what to do. So what's better than that? But yeah, and then like just if you wanted a point on like innovation, I feel like that. For me, there has to be something where it's easier. There's loads of like tools out there where you can like organise like workflows, and procurements. But I feel like there's something has to be better, because there's not like one central system that people work on. People are working on so many different systems, so many different platforms, and like some of them are good, some of them are bad, and it's like trial and error. I would love to see one central system that people just like adopt. But I mean, that's probably like a pipe dream, but I think it'd be a lot easier. And in terms of like actual tools for how that's processed, I mean, I don't know. I'm not there yet. But and then one other side, I'm probably rambling on here, but one other side that I feel like FM construction companies need to like have a lot more opinion on and actually press a lot harder on is what I do, is like your personal branding, your marketing, because it's such an archaic industry where people still think, oh, just, doing a good job is the best thing to do. Yes, you have to do a good job, but you have to keep up with the times. It's like, why are you sat in this co-working space? Well, it's beautiful. The branding on the screen over there is sleek. It looks good. Would I work here? Yeah, it looks nice. It looks cozy from the outside. I'd come in. So why do people want to use me? Well, I like to show my personality. I like to show the people who are behind the brand. And, I've seen loads of success. Like, if you look at, just for people listening, if you look at, say, when Manchester, you might not have seen when Manchester City and Tottenham have done like their behind the scenes, you get to see actually like the behind the scenes of the players, and a lot of opinion changed when people saw like how the City were with their players and things like that. And I feel like that's
the background.
Yeah, the background. And it's no longer just, this is this case. I see loads of fit out's my industry. You're going to see loads of the big fit out companies. They're trying to play like catch up with like what I'm doing and attempting to do.
Yeah.
And they do is just doing it badly because they're getting either AI to write their post for them, so there's no passion behind any of it. I mean, you and me or whoever, if you spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, you can see who's written by AI because it's so like robotic.
It is, yeah.
And people like message me and go, it's not a good advert where you spell wrong. Well, I've got dyslexia, so I don't care. And I refuse to have Grammarly just because I just can't stand it. Like, I'm dyslexic and I'm okay with that. And I write from the... Yeah, well, yeah, probably haven't. Just keep go through some of my posts and you'll definitely see it there. But yeah, there's definitely a thing of like people are scared to get on a camera or people are scared to do things like this. And
so show your true self, is that? Yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying
as a company.
As a company, like, and I'm trying to appeal to people like co-working spaces and landlords or facilities management companies.
Yeah.
And if I bring them or email them, if they want to search me, then they already know well, no, exactly. And they already know, they can see what I'm like and they can see how I portray myself as I am. So
it's like transparency. I like that.
Yeah, it is. I
agree with you on that, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
See, just not the people behind the business, but the business itself. So
yeah, exactly.
To get a real feel for the company that they're doing.
I feel like the modern day person thinks differently to an old school person where you may look at a picture and go, oh, they do a great job and they've got these names under the hat. But like for me, one of the things that I've done quite well is I don't want to just build a space for you. I want to help you let your space as well.
So you get really involved, almost like a consultant, you know.
Yeah. That's not like, oh, I'm charging someone for it.
No.
But I love doing it. I love like helping people out. So for me, that's like one of the things that I'm trying to do well as well, where you literally like a contractor or FM construction company builds and then goes and they'll come back when something goes wrong.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
No.
I want to grow, like position myself within your company.
Yeah.
I want to get to know every value about you. Yeah. And if I can do that, then the next job you give me, I'll be able to encompass that in my designs and how I deliver my project.
Yeah, again, it's all transparency.
Yeah, it is.
People can see you. And then, you know, there's a lot of word of mouth stuff then there, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, speak to Ollie. Yeah, he'll help you.
I hope so.
All the way through.
Yeah, I hope so.
Finish and beyond. So what we spoke about innovation. Do you think we're still playing catch up? I mean, what happened to you guys? You mentioned about... you know, the recession we had.
Yeah.
But what about COVID since then? Have you guys, did that affect, I mean, obviously, did it affect you?
No.
Because you were still doing...
No. We flourished in COVID. Like, genuinely flourished in COVID. And the main reason, and I think a lot of construction FM companies flourished because if you think about it now, modern day, well, not modern day, but a few years later, for us to do a job in here, some people would have to move out.
Yeah.
Then there'd be disruption. Everyone always complains when there's people on site or what you're doing, they're making noise, all that kind of stuff. It was brilliant. No one was in the office. There was no complaints. And also people who were smart, i.e. the big landlords, they saw that as a position to renovate themselves and to like reimagine their spaces.
Yeah, of course.
Or whether it was just giving the whole place a lick of paint, so when people came back, it was fresh for them. Yeah, and also, there's like a more sinister side to it where people's leases were coming up. So if you transform your space, then your rents will go up and things like that. But that was just, you know, if you can't blame them. If you're a landlord and you had the money to renovate and you might have gone 3 years, of course you want to come out of COVID with new rent and a little bit more money. So that's what they did, and that we were at the forefront of that. I guess not the forefront, but we did well through COVID. Yeah, and it did allow us to grow. Actually, we grew during COVID.
Yeah.
I think we all only had 3 weeks off. No one was on furlough.
Wow. That's it.
Yeah, we just carried on trading.
Pretty spectacular.
But I remember. Yeah, but also like everyone will remember there was loads. Do you remember the first couple of weeks of COVID where it was on Sky News and I can't remember whose site it was. I think it might have been like a May site.
Yeah.
And they were like still working on site and people were like, oh, look, they're all still together. And it's like, well, that's just construction. Construction's always the first thing to stop, but always the first thing to keep on going through any crisis. And that's what was really bad in recession. Like, what's the first thing to go if you're a landlord, if you're a business owner, not spending money on your office on decorative features? It doesn't make sense. So CapEx is like the first thing to get pulled.
Investing in anything, yeah.
Yeah. So COVID was good, recessions are bad.
Yes. I agree.
But I wouldn't have another COVID.
No, definitely
No.
not. No. I think you were talking about mental health there. That was not great for people's mental health.
Yeah, it was all. It was. Yeah, you went one or two ways, and you either got. I went the other way where I just got
Flourished.
Yeah, well, the business was going, and I had all the time in the world to get. Luckily enough for me, our local CrossFit gym gave out loads of equipment, so I managed to get like 300 kilos of weights and things like that. So I managed to get really, really super fit as well as growing. So
Gosh.
Yeah, but obviously the other side of stuff was horrendous. Of people's being sat in their homes all day. And,
And I mean, there's some horror stories, isn't there, about COVID? But let's go back to some back in over your career, or even before that, or even on a personal note. What moment or project are you very proud of today?
I think just the overall project, the overall project of doing and growing a business is challenging in itself, but seeing it flourish and people coming to work and actually enjoying what they're doing and enjoying coming to work with me, and no one ever works for you like that. Whoever says you work for me or they work for me, no, people come and work with you. They don't come and work for you. They work with you, and they're working with your clients. You don't work for your client. So you're not. One of the things that I've got really strong in our heads, and when my dad's instilled into me, is you never work for someone. Because as soon as you say that, you've automatically put them better than you, and you're not everyone in the world's on the same level.
So you're a team.
Yeah, we are.
We
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm proud that. I mean, anyone would be proud of people reaching out to you saying, "Can I come and talk to you? Because I'd like to see if there's any opportunities in your business." And we're in the grand scheme of things, we're a small company. We're our turnover's good, but we're a small company. It's just it's almost like a pat on the back kind of thing. It's like, oh, you are doing the right job. And a couple of the grads who have joined us recently have come to us and said it's the best thing ever. And one of their dads sent her a text saying, I'm so happy that these people are nice to you. And
that's lovely.
Yeah, and that's what the projects are projects. That's for me. I don't have, and this is so weird, and I don't want anyone to take this in the wrong way. I have no passion for the build, but I have passion for the people and the growth and the business side of things. I love seeing when a project's completed, and I love the process of doing it. But the actual passion isn't on that side of the business. That's my dad's passion. But if you've got, that's the whole thing about owning a business, where people get very mixed up, saying thinking that it's all in the do. And it is, and the guys, you're only as good as your last job. But there always has to be multiple people who have different passions, otherwise you'll never grow. Yeah, so it's everyone in our business has a different passion for something within that business, and then you all come together for one immediate thing. But there's not. Again. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if there's one particular job that we've just completed, which I absolutely love, which is at Media City, and the design on it's amazing. And when you walk through, I was like, right, okay, this is I did walk through it the other day, and I did a video actually, and I kind of said that this is my favourite space that we've done. But then as the years could pass on, and you keep continuously doing jobs, because obviously within design and build, the idea is that you keep progressing the work the workspace. So when you're always looking for that next on trend thing. So the workspaces keep getting better and better and better, and they keep getting newer and newer. Yeah, it's like walking through Selfridges or something like that, and seeing new models of things. And if you're into your clothes and you see a new clothes, you're like, oh my god, look, I've never seen that before, and you like it. That's just like what workspace is. It's continuously ever moving and evolving. And I find it fascinating every time I walk in somewhere. Like we did that job that I was talking about. We've put sleep pods in for people. It's like,
yes, I've seen this.
Yeah, have you seen the sleep pods?
Prayer rooms.
Yeah, again, that's like
quiet spaces. Yeah,
and mother's rooms,
sauna.
Yeah. No, literally mother's rooms and all that kind of stuff is, and that's one of the things that came through COVID was it was really hard to entice people back to the workspace or back to work, because everyone spent money on their homes. So everyone became like Bob the Builder, or you put a new kitchen in, or you put that new hot tap you wanted in. Suddenly, if you came into your work, it sounds like it sounds like pretty miniature, but if you don't have a hot tap or a nice coffee machine, everyone bought an espresso machine. So if you're suddenly going, exactly. So if you're suddenly going to the office and you've got £1 coffee and a kettle that you got to wait 5 minutes to boil, no, I don't want to work here. So
it's one of those hot taps. Cold taps here, so yes, no kettle at all. It's a bit baffling, but it's what people want.
It's what people want. Yeah, exactly.
I know. I've still got a kettle. But yeah, that's great. I love this question. This one's great. So who's your mentor? You can pause, that's fine.
Do you know what? Yeah, you stopped me in my tracks, like such a motor mouth, stopped me in my tracks, because do you know what? The last podcast that I did, someone asked me like a date, who would I like if I could have a day in someone else's shoes, and I just actually didn't know who it was, and I guess I don't think like that. A mentor to me, I'd love to say my dad, but he isn't a mentor, because we're like chalk and cheese. The answer is I actually don't know. I don't have someone that I do actually, and it's a little bit of a sad story. So we had a third business partner who we started the business with, very successful property investor, and he was my dad's best friend for 40 years. But and this is another challenge, probably the biggest challenge the company's ever faced. So he was our financial director, and his daughter and his wife worked for us as well. And he went on a skiing trip on. He said bye to us on the Friday, went on a skiing trip, and then he fell down a set of stairs and died, unfortunately. He passed away, so God rest his soul. But he was kind of my mentor in terms that I could go to him, ask him any questions, and I've kind of, since that day, kind of lost that. So it's kind of just a lot of self-development and get up and motivation, that kind of thing. But I just, if I see something I like it online or LinkedIn, then I'll read it and I'll take it in and think, all right, okay, I'll take that upon. But in terms of like a mentor, I think one person really sticks. Sorry, I got a really dry mouth. Sorry. So as one person who really sticks out to me is a guy that we've had on our podcast. Thank you. Had on our podcast is a guy called Jonathan Naylor, who I worked with previously at my family's company, the old Co, and he's now set up on his own,
right.
Flourished again. And me and him used to drop me off at home in his Ford Focus, and he's doing very, very well for himself now. So those days have long gone.
Ford Focus.
Yeah, the Ford Focus has been exchanged for a Porsche, I think, or something like that. But
brilliant.
Jonathan's really inspiring because he's a dad of five. He's a dad of five, and he's also a single dad of five, full-time dad. And he's managed to grow his business to multi-millions by being a single dad and bringing up 5 children on his own. And I feel like, whenever I can't speak to my dad about something, I'll ring him, and he's always picks up the phone to me. I've actually got I had another business with him as well. So I've just recently exited a business, so I had another one with him, and we're planning to do another one as well. So I would actually say that he's probably a mentor to me, most definitely, because I've seen how someone can actually come over those, having 5 children, and still crack on and own a business and grow it the way he has. It's inspiration, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a few there though. Like
so you've actually made me provoke you. Yeah, you provoked me to actually think.
Opened it up for you. I love that. You've got a few in there. And sorry to hear about your friend.
Life's life, isn't it? At the end of the day, so
very short for some.
Yeah, it's short, and that's why live it. And again, don't always focus on, chasing money or chasing growth and business. Like, look after the people that you've got in your business, and they'll look after you, and the growth will come. Organic's always the best thing to do. Never just charge. And I've got loads of friends who own fire alarm companies, things like that, and I've seen them do what I've told them not to do, i.e. take on loads of contracts, and they can't fulfill them, and they just stress themselves out working 25 hours a day and all that kind of jazz. But it's just don't do it. Grow organically. And the problem in the world is that social media is ruined. Social media is a great thing, and I use it in a good way. It's also an incredibly toxic place in the world, where people think, especially young guys, think that they have to be a millionaire by the time that they're 23. And one of the things that innovation, especially what we mentioned before, that is struggling, there's a huge shortage within trades and labour and good people in this country, because no one thinks it's cool anymore to be, work on site or be an estimator or be a QS or be a decorator. No one wants to do that, but the reality is, because no one wants to do it, the wages going up, and you can earn a fortune being a tradesman now. And that's a huge issue, because social media has made it that it's not cool, and you have to be like a trader or something like that. You have to have a cool job or be a footballer, and it's just not the case. It's impossible. So the government's just released a scheme over the next 5 years, 800 million scheme to try and encourage young people to come into construction, because they notice that we need 45,000 new workers in the next, qualified, trained new workers in the next 5 years. Otherwise, construction in this company is going to come to not a halt, but severely slow down, or we're going to have to bring foreign companies in to take the work because
shame.
And people think, 45,000 people is not a lot of people, but to get qualified it takes years, and to be good at it takes years as well. So that shows like the struggles that we're facing. It's not even the technology or the innovation that needs to happen, it's we need labour and we need it quickly.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
I was talking about this on the last podcast about, recruitment. That was my background, and the staff obviously wanting to work remote, and got so many wants, but actually we've got some needs to fill.
Yeah.
And we should all be really coming into the office, I personally.
Yeah, and also like you'll know from a recruitment background is people are looking for your incentives all the time, and people demand more from companies now. So another advice that I'd probably give to people is if you're a growing business and you want to attract the best talent, is have good incentives. So like if we've had a good week, we'll just give everyone half a day on a Friday, like a day's notice, like doesn't have to be planned in. Right. Or every Friday morning, buy people breakfast. At least a couple of times a week, we'll go out for a drink with everyone. All that kind of stuff.
Nice and social as well,
and like if I'm going out and buying myself lunch and people are busy, then I'll go out and buy everyone lunch and all that. Like, just share, just be nice. And also when you profit, share your profit. Don't keep it to yourself, because people come to work and they work hard, so share it out, and that's kind of the advice.
Little things that sometimes
and a lot of people aren't even bothered about the bonus. It's more just
the recognition,
and getting looked after. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, and get even like buying breakfast for people. It costs you like 50 quid to buy 15 people breakfast, and it's it might not do in London, but it definitely does in Manchester.
I know. I reckon that's about 4 people.
So if you as long as you keep your staff happy,
just coffee.
Yeah, literally. I think I paid 6 quid for a coffee and protein bar the other day. So I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I agree. Keep looking after yourself. I've said about. You've kind of mentioned a few things. My next question was to you was about, if there's something that you could know when you were younger, when you were starting out, what would you do, or what would you do differently? I mean, this could be sort of pointed to everybody out there that's young and coming into the industry. What would you have done differently? Sort of advice.
I should have listened. I should listen to older people There's the famous saying that I've always been taught is profit is sanity, turnover is vanity. And that's the best advice that I can give someone is, and also stick in your own lane. And they all go hand in hand. So I'd look at other companies and go, I want to do that work. Why aren't I getting it? Self-doubting, going, why can't I do that? Like basically trying to run before you can walk. Yeah. It's okay to take your time and build something. You don't have to be successful within the first 24 months. Yeah. If you break even in the first year, I think that's actually success. Yeah. As I've grown, you want to be profitable, and we are. But, every year that clock, as you reach that new financial year, that clock goes straight back to zero. So for a lot of people, staying in business is just a necessity. It's like that's an achievement, staying in business. I don't know what the stat is. I think something like 75% of new businesses that start fail within the first year and go bust. So for me, it'd be just enjoy the process, enjoy your process, take on work that's manageable, make sure that's profitable, then grow. Because I haven't always done that, and I've made mistakes, and so lucky for me that I've been allowed to make mistakes. Yeah. Not everyone is allowed to do that, and not everyone could afford to do that, but that's a thing of mine. And also, learn from mistakes. When I was younger, and I'm still young, obviously, but when I was younger, I'd beat myself up about mistakes, as you do when you're younger. They would carry a lot more weight on you, and you question yourself why. Is you learn a million things from a mistake, and you learn little from success. Yeah. So learn from your mistakes, and I love making mistakes now. I do. I tell it sounds really philosophical, but I tell the younger staff, enjoy making a mistake. Don't sit there and sulk about it or get upset about it, because life doesn't stop, does it?
No.
Like, you have to just get up and keep going.
Yeah.
If you can sit there at the end of a week or end of a project, that's what we do as well. We sit there at the end of a project or end of a week and go, what have we done right and what have we done wrong? Right, well, how can we make that wrong or right?
Yeah.
And there will always be wrongs.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not, and that's kind of the advice that I'd give my younger self is stick in your own lane, make sure that, your profit's there and you're not just taking on jobs for nothing, and, learn from your mistakes. And I feel like they're just basics of life, really.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree on that. And again, if someone sort of comes to you tomorrow saying, I want to do what you do, what would you say to them? Similar sort of thing, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I've never been asked that question before, and no one's ever come up to me and asked, how do I do what you do? And I've seen it on people on TikTok and things like that, get asked a question. I thought I'd be able to easily answer that in the street or something like that. And the answer is, I don't know what I'd say to someone, because it'd have to be, it's such as like construction and FM, and I suppose it would be more of a, how would you start a business kind of thing. Or if someone asked me how to do what I do, is just do your research.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a plan before you go into it. I'd actually, to start a business, I wouldn't just jump straight into it, leave a job. I'd try and probably have like a little bit of a side business first. Test the water. Yeah, like test your waters, try and do something on a small scale. Before you do it. Because I think like, especially the problem is with fit out, the barrier to entry is quite high. Whilst if you're in a sales, like recruitment or sales job, you can go and set up, and all you need is a phone and an internet connection, and away you go. And you can, as long as you're a good talker and you know what you're doing, you can be successful. But with like fit out and FM and owning your own business, it can be a little bit harder, because you need a cash flow, because the guys need paying, and all that kind of stuff. So I just say, go and do your research, test the waters, and if you fail, get back up and do it again. But yeah, it's a little bit of a difficult question. I think I've probably answered that one quite badly. But...
No, I don't think you have. I think you've been absolutely quite spot on. Yeah, I do agree. I think you've hit the nail on the head, really. Okay, so let's switch off of work. What do you like to do outside your day job?
I used to love going to the gym, but that's kind of slacked off recently. But I went to the gym this morning, and I've had I've had UK Reef. For anyone who doesn't know UK Reef, that's like, UK Reef's massive. It's the biggest property and construction and like real estate event in the country. So I've had that in Leeds. Okay. So that's all that's been is taking people out for drinks, food, and like early starts, late nights, and all that kind of stuff.
Networking.
Yeah, you're meant to go and listen to the shows and things like that, but no one, people do, but then it's a lot of like lunches and fringe events and things like that. So
quite social then.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had like my cousin's wedding, so yeah, the gym's kind of slapped recently, and also the travelling back into Manchester, it's been hard to get a good what's called routine in. So that's been difficult. But I love going to the gym. I love going on massive long walks. I've had like a little bit of a transition in life where I used to be quite a big partier.
Okay.
I used to live in the city centre. I just used to go out. I'm a sociable person, so now I've switched my partying lifestyles for like walks in the Lake District.
Well, that's nice.
And I like to set myself a challenge, so I've just signed up for the marathon next year, so I like to do things like that. So I'm travelling.
Fit and travel, yeah.
Well, I used to be very fit. I need to definitely get fitter, and also the gym's really good for like mental health. And, yeah, and I definitely notice a difference when I'm not going to the gym regularly. I was happy when I was in the gym today, and I haven't had that recently. So yeah, I live quite a basic, wholesome life now.
Yeah.
And obviously work takes up a lot of that. I get told off a lot at home for not spending enough time with the missus and things like that. And I struggle. For one of your previous questions now, it always happens, isn't it? When someone asks you a question, you get a better answer as you start talking. But one of the things I'd say is like, make sure you have a good work-life balance, because I'm still learning, and sometimes it's terrible. I'll pick up my phone at any time of the day, and people text me when late at night, and I'll reply to clients' emails. I've stepped out of date nights to go take a phone call from a client, and
So
you know, it's not really
switch off.
Yeah, because when you're in the thick of it, it can get hard.
You've done that, haven't you? You said so.
Well, sometimes and sometimes no. I've tried my best.
So the last question is, what's the best bit of advice you've been given? You did mention something earlier, but you'll probably think of something else now.
No, I've got a couple. One that I don't know what the swearing policy is on this, but
might be out of bib.
No, just one person. Jonathan actually said to me when I was younger, when I was 19, so 10 years ago now, just get your head down and graft. And that's one of the things that I'd give someone, like some advice, like get your head down and just graft. Hard work beats talent 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And also, just learn that success doesn't happen overnight. If you want that, then start buying more lottery tickets, because it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know if that's a possibility to win the lottery, but thank you so much, Ollie.
Anytime.
And I'm sure, once we write up, we've completed this podcast and it goes out live, I'm sure people will be wanting to contact you on LinkedIn. Is that okay for them to do that?
Absolutely, yeah. Get in touch. You know what? My LinkedIn DMs are always open for anyone. I always reply to people. So if you've got advice or anything like that you want to ask, then I'll always reply to you about it.
Beautiful, lovely. Thank you so much, Ollie, for coming, and safe travel back up to Leeds today.
Thank you very much.
And that completes today's podcast with Ollie. And thank you for listening. And we'll be back next time with our next special guest. Thank you very much.